I was there for the golden age. Doom, Quake, Half-Life, Diablo 2. Games built by obsessive, sleep-deprived geniuses in messy offices who had one goal: to make something fucking cool. They weren't trying to change the world. They weren't trying to send a message. They were trying to build a world you could get lost in. And now? Now I look at the industry we built, and it's being systematically dismantled. Gutted from the inside out by a plague of corporate cowards, HR drones, and talentless ideologues who wouldn't know a good game mechanic if it bit them in their diversity hire ass. They call it progress. They call it inclusion. I call it what it is: a goddamn infestation. Woke culture, ESG money, identity-based hiring. It's a three-headed dragon torching every franchise I ever loved. And I'm here to call it out. To name the names and read the goddamn receipts. Let's begin. Back when games were made by people like me. Remember ID Software? Carmack and Romero? Two absolute legends who basically invented the FPS in between chugging sodas. Think they had a DI coordinator? Think they ran their level designs past a committee to check for microaggressions? Fuck no. They were obsessed with pushing the tech, with making something that felt visceral and fun. Blizzard in its prime? The team that gave us Warcraft and Diablo? A bunch of nerdy white dudes, mostly. Guys like Chris Metzen, who lived and breathed that universe. They weren't hiring to fill a quota. They were hiring the guy down the hall who had the sickest idea for a quest line. Early Valve? Same story. Bethesda with Morrowind? A masterpiece of world building, not a lecture on social politics. These games were built on a simple principle: merit. Can you code? Can you write? Can you design a level that's challenging but fair? You're in. Nobody gave a flying fuck about your pronouns, your skin color, or your politics. Your work spoke for you. And the work was legendary. Today what do we have? A complete clown show. The hiring pipeline in every major Western AAA studio is poisoned. They call it a diversity pipeline. You know what that really means? It means your portfolio, your skills, your experience. They all take a backseat to the color of your skin or what gender you identify as. They'll hire a junior dev with a pulse and the right identity politics checklist over a seasoned veteran who just happens to be a straight white guy. They're bringing in writers from failed TV shows and dying media outlets, people who have never held a controller, who openly despise gamer culture, and giving them the keys to our most beloved franchises. And we're supposed to be shocked when the writing is cringy, sanctimonious, and completely out of touch. You combine this woke hiring with woke design, and you get the perfect recipe for failure. Every narrative has to be filtered through a progressive lens. Every character has to be a vessel for some half-baked commentary on gender, or colonialism, or whatever the blue check marks on Twitter are screaming about this week. It's not organic. It's not authentic. It's a marketing strategy designed to appeal to people who don't even play games, while alienating the core audience that built the industry in the first place. You can't build a billion-dollar blockbuster on a foundation of resentment and bad faith. You want proof? Oh, I got proof. Let's take a walk through the graveyard of games that died on the hill of identity politics. Let's start with Redfall. Arcane Studios. These guys gave us Dishonored. And then they got swallowed by Microsoft, got a big dose of corporate DI, and what did they put out? A boring, soulless, technical mess. They gave us a diverse cast of quirky nobodies spouting cringy dialogue in a dead world. The AI was brain dead, the co-op was pointless. It was a joke. They were so focused on having an inclusive roster that they forgot to make a fun video game. It died in a week. And what about Overwatch 2? Blizzard, once the kings, now reduced to this. They took a fun, vibrant hero shooter and slowly strangled it with identity politics. Every character needed a new label, a new sexuality, a new politically correct backstory. But the game itself? They canceled the PvE mode they promised for years, the content dried up, and they replaced it with a predatory cash shop. The wokeness was the smokescreen for a creatively bankrupt, hollowed-out product. Oh, and who could forget Marvel's Avengers? They put Kamala Khan, a C-list hero, front and center because diversity, and gave us a game so repetitive, so boring, with a loot system so bad, it felt like a punishment. Fans wanted to be Thor, Iron Man, Hulk. They didn't want to sit through a lecture disguised as a superhero game. It was a massive flop. You want the textbook example? Mass Effect, Andromeda. BioWare used to be gods. Then their woke hiring pipeline kicked into high gear. They put inexperienced teams on it, and the results were legendary, for all the wrong reasons. The infamous facial animations, the laughably bad writing. They were more concerned with progressive themes than with crafting a story that lived up to the legacy. They killed one of the greatest sci-fi sagas of all time with one game. The list just keeps going. Battlefield 2042, EA bragging about their progressive non-binary characters right before launching a game so broken, so fundamentally unfinished, it became a meme. Saints Row, the reboot, they took a franchise known for its edgy, chaotic humor and sanded it down into a sanitized, inoffensive, millennial startup story. It was painfully unfunny, the gameplay was janky, and the fans hated it. The studio Volition is now dead. Gone. Because they chased the woke approval of people who were never going to buy their game. The Last of Us Part 2, a masterpiece of graphics and gameplay, completely kneecapped by a story that was divisive for the sake of being divisive. It felt preachy, manipulative, and disrespectful to the characters we loved. It was Naughty Dog telling half their fanbase to go fuck themselves. Forspoken, I'm seeing a motherfucking dragon. Yeah, we saw the cringy dialogue. A classic case of a strong female protagonist, written like a bad Joss Whedon knockoff. Generic world, bland gameplay, and a story that felt like it was written by a marketing team. Flopped. Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, from Rocksteady, the geniuses behind the Arkham games. What did we get? A live service, gear score nightmare that lost Warner Brothers $200 million. They turned the goddamn Justice League into jokes to prop up a cast nobody asked for, all while pushing weird, identity-swapped character designs. It was a disaster. And the new ones are even worse. Concord? Pulled offline after 2 weeks. Dustborn? A game about weaponized words and protest rock that peaked at like 80 players. You see the pattern here? Every single one of these games was either praised or marketed for its inclusive elements, its progressive story, its diverse cast. And every single one of them failed. They failed because the focus wasn't on quality. It wasn't on fun. It was on the message. So you're probably asking, why? Why are they doing this if it keeps failing? It's not just ideology. It's money. 2 words, ESG. Environmental, social, and governance. It's this corporate rating system that big investment firms use. If your company checks all the right boxes, promotes diversity, has green initiatives, all the feel-good bullshit, you get access to billions of dollars in investment capital. So companies like EA, Ubisoft, and Microsoft aren't just making games anymore. They're playing a different game, chasing ESG scores. They publish these glossy reports bragging about their DI stats and their carbon footprint. They get the cash, the execs get their bonuses, and what do we get? We get Anthem. We get Battlefield 2042. We get Redfall. We get buggy, unfinished, soulless products because the company's attention is somewhere else. The ESG money is a poison pill. It incentivizes corporations to prioritize progressive PR over making good products. They take the money, hire based on ideology to boost their social score, and then farm out the actual work to underqualified teams. It's a vicious cycle of corporate greed and creative decay. And this all boils down to one simple, ugly truth they don't want you to hear. This whole movement, it's not about diversity. It's not about equality. It's discrimination, plain and simple. It's racism and sexism directed at the one group it's still fashionable to hate, straight white men. The very people who built this industry from the ground up are now being told they're the problem. That their perspective is invalid. That they need to get out of the way to make room for others. Talented, experienced white male devs are getting pushed out, sidelined, or just plain not hired because they don't help the company's diversity metrics. They call it making space. I call it revenge. It's an ideological purge. And the quality of our games is what's paying the price. So no, I'm not gonna shut up. I'm not gonna apologize for calling out the bullshit. We have to stop letting these people ruin the things we love. We have to demand games that are built on talent, not ideology. On fun, not lectures. Stop killing games. Let the people who actually know how to make them, make them. If you don't like it, I hear Candy Crush is still hiring. Leave the real games to us.